Hello, everybody. It's me. I'm Robin. This is me reading stuff. This is, for anybody new, let's do a quick review of what this podcast is. I have recently called it a love letter to the world, and it is that, because if you notice, even though I do read something on here every single week, I don't criticize the reading. I don't get on here and like, here's a book I hated. I'm all about promoting us all loving writers, poets, supporting them. That's a big part of it. Another part of it is me just talking, just keeping you company, hopefully making you guys feel good, feel better, feel connected. The responses I get are usually like, hey, thank you. It feels like I'm talking to a friend, or it feels like I'm going to coffee with my best friend. And that's helpful because, as I've mentioned on here, this is helpful to me because I have a bit of a friend problem. I am working through that, and we're getting better every day. I'm trying to figure it out. So wow, what an intro. Is that what me reading stuff is? Whoa, my voice just went out. Me reading stuff is, listen, I'm a visual artist. I recently thought I retired. I was in the midst of a real nutty time when I did that, though. And now I'm working again over on my Substack. I am making these small, and I dare I say, beautiful postcard drawings for all of my paid subscribers. So you can see an example of those. Go to my Instagram, too, Robin_O'Neal. If you don't know who I am, do a Google search. Figure it out. Here we are, though. I think you can tell in my voice. I think the other thing about this podcast is you can tell in my voice there's something I just need to do this. I don't really think about the consequences. I don't think about the repercussions. I don't think about what I'm after. I'm not trying to get like profiled in, I don't know, the New York Times, although that would be incredible. But this is just, when I think about all the podcasts I've listened to and the podcasts that people love, well, this podcast is nothing like any of those, is it? So I clearly haven't had a good model. I haven't looked to a good model for success here. And it is what it is. But for those of you who listen, it seems to be a good thing for you. And I greatly appreciate the little bit of interaction I get with all of you guys. And if you're new, again, I've been doing it 9.5 years. So this has been a long time. And I have always wanted to be a radio host. Delilah, if you guys know the radio host Delilah, that's one of my big ones, big inspirations. And so, and since I'm not a radio DJ, I am doing it this way, I guess. I'm in the mood for just a complete rehaul of my clothing situation, of my wardrobe. I almost wish... if you guys have ever read Helter Skelter or known anything about the Manson murders, you'll know that the Manson family would do what is called creepy crawling, which is just this, oh God, it's the most haunting part of Helter Skelter when it's spoken about or written about, where they would just go into homes and not do anything, just kind of crawl around, look at sleeping people, maybe take a book and leave. Maybe take a sweatshirt and get out of there. That's my memory of it anyway. And I almost wish that I could stay safe, but that the Manson family would come creepy crawling through my house and just take all of my clothes, including underwear, maybe leave me a couple of socks and get the fuck out of my house, and then give me a reason to get all new clothes, because I think I'm dealing with some slight depression here anyway, and I'm also thinking a part of it is about how bad I feel about myself physically right now. And when one feels like this, I'm not going to say anything about you, but it is kind of common that if you're not proud of the clothes you're wearing, if you're not proud of the way you're wearing your hair or whatever it is, you can get really used to that, and then it can almost be like self-torture. And I need an overhaul, but I don't feel like I have the ability to just like pick myself up and do it. Nor do I have the money I would need to like do a complete rehaul. But I've been wearing kind of the same clothes over and over and over and over and over. And I thought I liked it because I do like having a uniform. I've always liked that. I remember reading about Einstein wearing the same thing every day. When I was in high school, I was like, I got to do that. I didn't start doing that until later, but I always do it with a variety. Like, there was a time when I wore all J. Crew corduroys, except I had purple, blue, red, burnt orange, and something else. I don't know, black. Yeah, black and gray. I mean, I spent a lot of money on these corduroys, and then I wore just like I lived in Houston. It's hot as hell there, so I wore this tank top in many different colors. I think it was from Old Navy or something. And that was my uniform for years of my life. You can ask anybody from my past. And then I had 2 sweaters that I would wear if it ever got cold on top of that. And now recently I've been wearing these same, and they are the best sweatpants. I've talked about them on here. They're Free People sweatpants, but they're really oversized and oh my God, they're the best sweatpants I've ever owned. And I actually don't know if I'd want the creepy crawlers to get these out of my house because I'm just so addicted to them. But I think for a year and a half or 2 years of wearing these same sweatpants in different colors every single day, it's just getting kind of sad, you know? But I don't know what I want. I need help. Oh, but the other thing I was going to say is that, you know what I wish I could wear, but I can't? Berets. And why can't I wear a beret? Because I'm a visual artist. What kind of asshole would I look like if I'm walking? And you know what? You know what I do wear every day and feel good about? Almost every day, except for if I'm not wearing the old shitty t-shirts that I've been wearing for so long, my everyday shirt is a very soft black turtleneck. And I wear a black turtleneck almost every day throughout the fall and winter. And that's been going on for a couple of years. And that I don't really want to change. So to any creepy crawler who might be stealing my clothes, keep the Free People sweatpants. Maybe take a few of them. Maybe just leave me with the black ones and leave me with my black turtleneck shirts. They're not sweaters. They're just shirts, like really soft material, but thick enough to where it's not like, you know, I'm just tits out or whatever. Anyway, so on top of wanting to wear a beret, I'm an artist and I wear black turtlenecks. It would look like I'm trying out for like to be a French artist in the 60s or like to be a mod or to be, in San Francisco or whatever. All of a sudden I can't think of that movement to be a beatnik. But I'm not. But those are just, that's my style. Should I just go for it? I do own one beret. And I used to wear it only in the house. And I got really used to it. But I don't know. I just can't do it. I would look like such a moron. I really would look like I'm just playing dress up or I don't know. I know it sounds crazy, but I just might throw a book at you. All right. You guys didn't expect this, but I have a little bit of a bone to pick with you guys. I hate to say this. I hate to admit this. Again, this is like the really like down on myself podcast. Everything I've been a little bit down on myself, isn't it? Well, here's another one. And you guys are contributing to this. And you want to know how? And I'm not really mad. I'm just so embarrassed and so sad. And I'm just going to admit it. None of you, and I mean nobody, reached out with a question. Unless I missed it, and I don't think I did, I didn't get one question from anybody. If anybody forgets, last episode, I said, send in your questions. I will answer any question you have for me. To me, that's pretty cool, right? Is that cool of me? Or is it just like, whatever, you guys just don't care? Obviously, nobody cared. And I was going to maybe lie. I even have a friend, Cecile, who asked me a couple of questions in a text thread, and I wanted to believe that, like, at first I just answered her question, but I didn't answer it in full, and I planned on answering it later. And then a couple days later, I was like getting sad about how nobody asked me any questions for me to answer. And then I thought maybe Cecile was referring to the podcast, and I asked her and she wasn't. She was not. She was just asking me a question, which is even better. And I'm very grateful for that. But then it was just one more time. Cecile, if you're listening, You know I love you. And I am even more excited that I'm getting a question just to me, just for us. But that doesn't mean I'm not sad about every other listener who just does. Apparently, you guys aren't interested. Maybe tell me why. Tell me why. Maybe I should open up and let's be really honest and vulnerable with one another, audience and me. And you just tell me why you just really didn't care to ask me a question. And we'll get on with it. I will say, again, my listenership has dropped so far. And I'm sure there's some of you that are still hanging on and listening and going like, well, I can tell you why because you complain all the time. Or I can tell you why because you're really annoying. Well, I'm sure that's true. I wouldn't argue with it. But I kind of thought over the 9.5 years we've developed something and that you might have a question for me. Anyway, another good thing, I'll tell you guys a positive. Okay, the positive is that I have tried, and I checked my receipts. The amount of times I've tried to listen to audiobooks on Audible has been 5 times throughout my life. It might have been 6 on a different email address. I couldn't find it, but I think this is the 6th time actually. And I just started because Damien listens to audiobooks. Again, back to my friend Cecile, she listens to audiobooks, and I'm just like, what? I'm very sensitive about people's voices, and I don't know. It's like most of the people who read, I'm just not into it. And if you've got any voice that sounds a little bit like AI, I cannot listen to it. But I decided because Eric Roberts, if you guys paid attention to, or did I talk about, I think I did talk to you guys about that podcast I listened to, Back to One. And if not, you can look at my last Substack post. It's a top 10 list that I did. Go to robinoneal.substack.com and you'll find it. I talked about Eric Roberts being interviewed, the actor Eric Roberts, on Back to One podcast and how affected I was by it. And then I remembered, I know Eric Roberts has a new book out, and being an actor, I bet he reads it. Well, sure enough, he did. And so I decided to get Audible a try for the 6th time. And I'm loving it. I'm halfway through the book, and I'm riveted, and it's so great to have him read. I love his voice. So... And then I got to thinking, well, I love entertainment, autobiographies, memoirs, even from somebody. I recently read a Jessica Simpson autobiography. I read the Tori Spelling autobiography. I will read anything like that. And so I thought, well, most of these people are reading them themselves out loud. So if they're doing the voiceovers, I think that'd be very entertaining. Like maybe I need to listen to the Britney Spears one. Does she do the? No, I think Michelle Williams does the. Doesn't Michelle Williams do the audio for the Britney Spears memoir? I think I remember that. But point being, Audible is finally a success. When I found it, it's just a nice thing. I've been having neck problems, and so as I draw these postcards for my Substack subscribers, I was really sick of looking up at the laptop because I've been watching a lot of Law & Order SVU. And normally I do watch a lot of TV shows while I draw, but for some reason lately it's just not suiting me. This is yet another change I'm going through. So I decided, well, this is the time for some audiobooks. Let's go. And again, Damien listens to so many and he's got great recommendations. And that's why Creepy Crawlers were on my mind, because he's not reading Helter Skelter. He's listening to some other Manson book that sounds really good. So I'll put that on my list. And then he recommended a book. I don't know if any of you guys have read it, called The Skies Belong to Us. And I'm not even sure. I know it's about a hijacking of a plane and various other things, but I'm very fascinated with him. He's read it 2 or 3 times. He's obsessed with it. And I really feel bad that I haven't read it yet because of his being so affected by that book. So that's going to be on my list. And yeah, I'm really excited. I'm finally an audiobook person. Guess how many decaf Americanos I've had today? I think I'm on my 5th. And do I miss caffeine? Nobody asked? Yes, I do. I desperately miss caffeine. I'm a low energy person, high mental energy, low physical energy. Very high mental energy almost all the time. I'm trying to control that and bring it down to a reasonable 7 and then maybe a 5 towards the end of the night. It's almost like I think about my day and I'm like, okay, we can keep it at a 10. We can keep it at a 10 until about 2 p.m. Then it drops because I get tired and I usually take a nap. I don't want to take a nap, but I do. And then when I wake up, I'm at like a 6, and then I can cruise to a 7, 8, or 9 if I get excited about something, and then once I know it's nearing bedtime, we're gonna purposely bring that mental energy down to a 5, cruise into the 4, 3 range, fall asleep at a 2. And that's how I do it. Now, physical energy I have no control over, but I am hoping I'm going to start practicing yoga more regularly again. And I'm hoping that will help bring my energy levels up. I've had so many physical problems going on, and I know yoga can solve almost all of them if I would just do it regularly. But back to that word I often use that I tell you guys about, which I can't think of right now, that means, the dilemma that all human beings in existence face, which is knowing exactly what you need to do and just not doing it. I mean, it's just insane. I can't think of the word. I will by the end of the episode. But anyway, yeah, that wonderful part of the human condition where you know exactly what it is, but you're not doing it. Okay, so I'm back to I almost said to answer questions. I am a psycho. I really think that's all I want in life is to answer questions. I ask you guys a lot of questions. I love asking questions. And now all of a sudden my subconscious is telling me I want to answer questions. So anyway, that's not why. Okay, what I was going to say is we're into the reading section of this wonderful, one of my worst podcasts of all time, probably. And I'm just gonna post it because I'm not here to be false. This is the authentic me. I don't know what to tell you. All right. We're reading from Wikipedia today, everybody. Give a round of applause to Wikipedia. And please donate your money. You can give $2.75 if you want. Give $25. Give whatever. But when you think about how often you get on Wikipedia and benefit from the information of Wikipedia, we really should give them money. It's kind of like PBS. And speaking of PBS, this is what the article I'm reading today from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia that we all know and love, is an article on the actor and singer known as Northern Calloway. Well, that is his real name, Northern Calloway. Great name, beautiful name. Give me a second, because I was just talking about that. I shouldn't even tell you guys, but I just need to take a couple of sips of water. Hey, you feel like a cup of coffee? All right, I'm back, everybody. Welcome back to Me Reading Stuff with Robin O'Neill. This is Friday, December 13th at 8 p.m. All right, the article we're reading is Northern Calloway. Northern James Calloway, born September 10th, 1948, January 9th of 1990. Was an American actor and singer, best known for playing David on Sesame Street from 1971 to 1989. He was institutionalized in a psychiatric hospital and died less than 8 months after his last appearance on the show. And there's Frankie. Hi, baby. I'm sorry about that. Okay, hold on. Let's get back to it. That distracted me. That got me all riled up. Little Frankie. Okay, here we go. Theater. Calloway graduated from New York City's High School of Performing Arts and joined the Lincoln Center Repertory Company in '66. There he performed A Midsummer Night's Dream at the Stratford Festival in '68 and The Three Musketeers at the Stratford Festival in '68 also. He played the lead in the New Federal Theater production of The Louis Armstrong Story. He became a Broadway stage actor in '68, appearing in Tiger at the Gates, '68, and The Mean Nobody Knows, 1970. He continued to act in stage productions in between filming a television series, performing in Pippin, Whose Life Is It Anyway, and some other things. Calloway performed in 6 productions on Broadway from '68 to 1980. Now we're moving on to the television part. In 1971, he joined the cast of Sesame Street during the show's second season as the character David Robinson, a boyfriend of the character Maria Rodriguez, played by Sonia Manzano. In 1982, after the death of fellow castmate and actor Will Lee, who was widely known for his portrayal of shopkeeper Mr. Hooper, the series decided to include his death in the show and have Calloway's character David become the new owner of Mr. Hooper's store. He remained one of the few human characters in the series for 18 years, appearing in 1,268 episodes. Calloway appeared in several made-for-television movies and specials by the Children's Television Workshop for over 11 years, including Christmas Eve on Sesame Street, A Special Sesame Street Christmas, Don't Eat the Pictures, and Put Down the Ducky. In 1989, Calloway retired from the series for medical reasons. Viewers were told that his character had moved away to help his grandmother on the farm, and thus would no longer appear on Sesame Street. Calloway also voiced the Muppet characters, the hipster, modeled after James Brown imagining shapes, Baby Breeze, and the Sesame Street character, Same Sound Brown. And now we're in the section titled Legal Troubles, Health Problems, and Final Years on Sesame Street. On the morning of September 19, 1980, Calloway was arrested in Nashville, Tennessee. He had been a guest in the home of Mary Stagaman, marketing director of the Tennessee Performing Arts Center, after performing there on the 13th. After being asked to leave the house and refusing to do so, Calloway beat Stagaman with an iron, causing serious head and rib injuries. He then fled into the suburbs of Nashville, where he smashed a plate glass window and storm door at one house and did extensive damage to the interior of another, destroying the family's collection of fine crystal, smashing a television set, and breaking light bulbs with his bare hands. He also stole a backpack from a first grader, smashed a windshield with a rock, and stole a bag of herbicide from an elderly resident named Douglas Wright. Calloway spilled the herbicide on his body and was rolling on the ground and running around, at which point Wright attempted to hold Calloway at gunpoint and fired a warning shot at him, causing Calloway to dive to the ground and scream that he was shot. He then jumped up and washed his hands and face in the Wright's bird bath before fleeing the scene, where witnesses reported him wearing only a Superman t-shirt. He was arrested after hiding out in a couple's garage, screaming, "Help! I'm David from Sesame Street, and they're trying to kill me." In his authorized history, Street Gang, The Complete History of Sesame Street, author Michael Davis writes that Calloway's final years on the show were marked by periods of deteriorating health and ability, punctuated by episodes of erratic behavior. During these years, he cites that Calloway reportedly bit music coordinator Danny Epstein during an on-set fight. Davis also states Calloway once appeared unannounced at Allison Bartlett's, that's Gina on Sesame Street, high school and proposed to her, despite him being 23 years her senior. Calloway's fellow cast members observed subtle clues to his erratic behavior and increasingly kept their distance. In addition, his criminal record caused him to be banned from Canada, where Follow That Bird was filmed. He is completely absent from the film. By 1987, executive producer Dulcie Singer became increasingly doubtful about Calloway's future with the show. As a result, the writers gradually ended the relationship that the character of David had with Maria, which had been in the storyline for several years. Maria soon began a romance with Luis Rodriguez, played by Emilio Delgado, which resulted in their marriage in May of 1988. Eventually, in the spring of 1989, Calloway was dismissed from Sesame Street by Singer, following the aforementioned incident with music coordinator Danny Epstein. His final appearance was in the 20th season finale, which aired on May 12, 1989. In the following season, it was stated that David went to live with his grandmother on a farm to take care of her, as ownership of Hooper Store was turned over to the character of Mr. Hanford, played first by Leonard Jackson and later David Smurl. The next chapter, Mental Health and Death. Shortly after his termination from Sesame Street, Calloway was permanently placed into a mental institution called Stony Lodge Hospital, located in Ossining, New York. There, he received treatment for bipolar disorder. On the afternoon of January 9, 1990, there was a violent altercation between Calloway and staff physician. He was then taken to Phelps Memorial Hospital in North Tarrytown, where he was pronounced dead at the age of 41. A coroner's report listed Calloway's official cause of death as exhaustive psychosis, now more commonly called excited delirium syndrome, EDS, a, quote, controversial condition, often respectively assigned to those who die under restraint in custody. Prior to his death, Calloway's marriage to Terry Calloway had ended in divorce. At the time of his death, his mother, Bonetta Calloway, and his brother, Gregory Calloway, both of Manhattan, New York, and his sister, Connie Calloway Jackson of Baltimore, Maryland, were still alive. He was buried in Ferncliff Cemetery. And that is it. I love David, and I loved Sesame Street as a kid, and I remember him coming in after Mr. Hooper died. I wasn't alive when it was first airing, but I watched it in reruns in the late 70s, early 80s, and at the time I had no idea anything about David, as I'll call him, and did not know what was going on. But you can certainly look back and see some of the erratic behavior coming out if you watch certain episodes and scenes, and you can find those online. But I just find it to be the most tragic story. And anytime, something emerges from something as beautiful for children as Sesame Street really was, and especially in those days, I don't even know how it is anymore, but when I was growing up, I credit Sesame Street with so much of my education as a kid, and for exposing me to things I never would have been exposed to. And also for me being a kid, mainly in the suburbs growing up, it was like seeing city life for me was so fascinating and so intriguing, and I just wanted to be there. And Mr. Hooper's store was one of those things. It's sort of like back to how I love the YouTube ambiance videos. I mean, I love the feel of those places. And even though I no longer live in a city, I will always miss that aspect of it. Something that I know came to me and came to my subconscious by way of Sesame Street. And David was a part of that. And knowing that this man had such a terrible struggle with his own brain really affected me to find this out. And I know I've brought this up before on the podcast. This Wikipedia article has a lot more to it now, but I remember telling you guys that I found it just, and I don't know, it did say, back in the old days on Wikipedia, I think it said his cause of death was just exhaustion, and then it said exhaustive psychosis, and now, I didn't know about this, excited delirium syndrome. And knowing how often people who die under restraint in custody who have mental illness, it's a very scary thought. And also, I just want to say that somebody should do a documentary about Northern Calloway, because, what a life, what a successful life, what a complex life, what a sad ending. And that whole story that happened in Tennessee is just wild. My favorite part is that he stole a backpack from a first grader. I thought that was my favorite part. And as somebody who keeps track of the amount of disgusting stuff that gets into my bird bath, I can only imagine what that was like for him to wash his face of herbicide from this old man's bird bath. It is, I don't know. There's so much to this Wikipedia page on Northern Calloway, and I just wanted to share it with you. And I do credit Damien I know I've always been into David, but Damien recently got into looking up a lot of clips of Northern Calloway, so I want to credit Damien Gerardo, everybody. Thank you, Damien, for all of the inspiration you give me on a daily basis here in this house. I will say, speaking of that, do you guys mind if I don't know, talk cute right now? I don't know what it's called, but talk romantically? Lately, Damien and I we're just really happy in our house. We have made our little home such a special place to be, and we are so inspiring to one another. I am so inspired by what he does with his life, and he would tell you the same about me. And it's just this constant sponge going back and forth between us, where we're soaking up whatever parts of what the other one's into our life and our creative output. And it's just been fascinating to look back throughout the years and see what kind of things have contributed to our growth as artists and people. And we're also both, Damien has broken off from working with, major record labels. He has his own record label now called Maricopa. He has for quite a while, but I don't think I've ever spoken about it quite like this on here. And, me kind of taking the reins a little bit with having my Substack and working directly with people who really like my artwork, but in my regular visual artist life, would never be able to, I don't know, get a drawing from me. I mean, like I've said it before, I can't even afford my own drawings. So it's just a very fun thing. Both Damien and I are finding ways to work directly with the people who like our work. And that's so much more fulfilling. And it shows, it's just a better way to be. I don't want to be so distanced from the people who support me and who like what I do. And so this has been really nice. Not to say anything bad about the other way. And I'm so grateful for the way I've been doing it for so long. But I don't know. I just wanted to speak a little bit about that. It's been very galvanizing. Just everything, the way Damien and I have changed our lives and decided to live our lives. It's been we both have been very fortunate and also have struggled a lot in our careers. A lot. And I know that's something we bonded on early on, that I don't have many people who can relate to the kind of things I've gone through as a creative person in my world and the kind of disappointments I've gone through. But Damien definitely understands. And we really are both, just astounded that we can make a living doing the things we do and want to continue to do that. It's just we had to adjust just a little bit. And I don't know that I think there was a lot of brainstorming going on between us trying to figure this out for years and years and years. And it's slowly just kind of, it all starts making sense little by little. And I guess there's just something about this Northern Calloway article that makes me think of that, about how difficult it really is to be a creative person. I know that sounds a little bit dramatic, but it can be. For anybody who struggles with any sort of mental illness, I don't even know if that's the politically correct thing to say when you have either anything. I have a lot of it, depression, whatever it is that you have. I mean, the majority of my problem is my anxiety and my OCD. But obviously, this Northern Calloway had a lot that he was dealing with. And even though we're in a much better time for people who struggle with these sort of issues, if you're creative and an emotional person and a sensitive person, on top of all of this other stuff, it can get real dicey. And when I read this article about Northern Calloway, it really just breaks my heart, because I think in a different time, he could have gotten the right meds. He could have, thank God the world understands self-care now, And so I just think if he was alive today as a young man starting his career, it could have been very different. And the Nashville incident wouldn't have happened. And the kind of terrible ending to his life may have never gone down anything like that at all. And so anyway, I guess I'm just really grateful for the time we live in. And, Damien and I both, he's a little bit older than me, but we both, well, I don't even know how to say it other than, it would have been a lot worse for us had we not lived in this time period. I mean, who knows? Maybe I would be, not to make light of it, but running around stealing first graders' backpacks. I really don't know. I really don't. I mean, so anyway, David, Sesame Street, the early days of Sesame Street, such a wonderful, wonderful time to be alive. But, oh man, anyway, glad to be here. Glad we're all alive. Anybody listening to this, let's go ahead and get out of here, guys. So, speaking of, I want to remind you guys, it's okay to have an off day. It's okay to not be okay. You're stronger than you realize, by the way. Think back to all of your problems. You got through those so far, didn't you? So remember, whatever you're going through, you can get through this too. I know it doesn't always feel like it, but You're much stronger than you think. What else? Go to where you feel the most loved or appreciated. Even if that's speaking of Mr. Hooper's store, if it's just like the person who's the morning checker at your favorite grocery store down the street, feel that love and appreciate that love. That is not minor. That is big. So whoever it is, wherever it is that you're feeling appreciated, go there, be there, feel that. Think more about them than those that are not giving you the proper love and attention. Oh, remember when I used to tell you guys about how you can wink in the mirror? Wink at yourself in the mirror. Cruise by a mirror in your house next time you do. And as you're cruising by, just kind of give yourself a wink. It feels really good. You just kind of flirt with yourself a little bit. Why not? Why the hell not? I bet you like yourself deep down. Would you flirt with yourself if you had another one of you around? I would not. I would run for the fucking hills if I saw myself coming. Anyway, I do like to wink at myself, though. So what else? Eat some toast, drink some coffee, and get the fuck out of here. Do your own thing. You guys, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah coming up, all the things, because I will not be talking to you until after the 25th and 6th and all of that. So thank you for being here, and I love you guys so much. All right, I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.